Hi, everyone. Good to see you. We'll wait till the bell rings before we get started. All right, everyone. Happy Monday. Here is your do now for today. In the chat, you're going to go ahead and write down what is your favorite sport. And then number 2, I'm going to call people out loud to share what effects do H, K, and A have on the transformation of a rational function. So let's take 3 minutes, answer the first question in the chat. Oh my gosh, what happened? The weirdest hiccup. Got basketball, we got dance. Cool. 'Volleyball, sleeping. Oh, Karen. If only sleeping was an Olympic sport. Also, so sad the Olympics aren't happening this year. Cheers. Rugby, okay. That's the first time I've seen rugby today, so that's cool. Cue. All right, 1 more minute. Make sure that you have the answer for number 2 as well, because I will be calling on someone out loud, a lucky winner, to answer what effects do H, K, and A have on the transformation of a rational function. Thirty more seconds. All right, what effects do H, K, and A have on the transformation of a rational graph? What do you have for me, Q?
I know that H and K gives you like the vertical and horizontal asymptote.
Sorry, can you say that again? My sound wasn't working.
I know that H and K gives you like the vertical and horizontal asymptote.
Good. And then H shifts it. How does H shift your graph?
It shifts horizontal.
And then how does K shift your graph?
Vertical.
Good. And then what does A do?
Isn't it like the stretch?
Yeah. Stretch or?
stretch or
It's the opposite of
I
stretching.
forgot.
Shrink.
I'm gonna look at my notebook. Yeah, shrink.
Yeah, so it tells you if it's a stretch or a shrink, and it also tells you whether there's a reflection. So if it's a negative, it's a reflection. Good. Thanks for sharing, Q. Let's go ahead and do our good things for today. So today's good things are going to come from Karen, Q again, and Venus. So Karen, what's your good thing?
I don't know.
Nothing good? Just one good thing that's happened.
Nothing really. I'm happy this is gonna be over soon.
Okay, I'll try not to take that personally, but thanks.
Sorry. Had a long day.
That's fair. Thanks for sharing, Karen. Q, go ahead. What's your good thing?
Yeah, I don't really got one today, to be honest.
Oh my God, are we all sad boys today? Just one good
It's
thing.
Monday.
Maybe a good thing from your weekend.
Oh, well, slept all weekend, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, cool. Thanks for sharing. And then Venus, what's your good thing?
I don't have to work today.
Woohoo! Exciting. You're gonna do anything with your time off?
I'm asleep.
Okay. We're a sleepy bunch in 10th period. All right, thanks for sharing. Let's go ahead and get started with our agenda for today. We're just gonna have notes and you should have time to work on your assignment today. All my other classes we finished early, so I have no reason to doubt that we will not be the same. Before we do that though, I want to give you all some time to ask any questions about 7.2 because that is due tonight on Big Ideas Math. Does anyone have any questions about 7.2 that I can answer now? No questions. All right, 7.1, the grades have been updated for that. So just double check and make sure on Skyward that it looks good. 7.2, I'll upload tomorrow once you all turn it in. And I haven't done your Canvas factoring worksheet yet, but that will happen this week as well. Okay, any questions about homework or grades before we get started?
If you turn something late, do you deduct points from it?
Yeah, so it's 75% of whatever your original score would be. So let's say that you turned it in and you got all the questions right. You should have gotten 10 points, but because you turned it in late, you'll only get 7.5 points.
Okay.
And
okay.
you have,
I have a question. So, give me a second. Okay, so I work like on the weekends, and usually I don't have time to do any of my stuff until Sunday night. Like, I was wondering if maybe you can change it to like the due dates till Sunday night to like 11:59.
the due date for today is Monday at 11:59. So you still have today to work on it.
No, right, but I meant like Fridays.
Oh, Fridays will always be due Monday at 11:59.
So which
Sorry, Karen, you're muted.
I said which one did I do because
So we had 7.1, that was due Thursday.
right.
And then we had 7.2 that's due tonight.
That's weird because it said it was due, like it was like overdue.
I'm pretty sure.
On mine it said it was overdue on Friday night, and then I did it last night and I turned it in.
I think you're probably thinking about 7.1 because mine says that 7.2 is due August 10th, which is today.
I'm gonna have a look at it then and I'll see why.
7.1 would be overdue, but 7.2 is still live. Any other questions? Okay. Let's go ahead and get started with our notes for today. So today we'll be talking about rational expressions and how to simplify them. So this whole unit, remember Algebra 2 is divided up and based on different functions. So this whole unit is focusing on rational functions, which is where x is in the denominator. So we talked about how to graph them last week. and we'll talk about how to simplify them today. The reason we talked about factoring last week and we reviewed it was because you will need to factor in order to simplify today. So you'll need to factor in order to simplify today. I have 2 problems up at the top for factoring review for us to go over just as like a refresher before we get started on today's notes. So number 1, x squared minus 16. How can I factor x squared minus 16? I'll take a volunteer for this. So if you want to lead the class through how to factor number 1, go ahead and type in me in the chat and I will call on you. How do I factor number 1?
You square root it.
Okay, so Karen, what would you get when you square root it? What would be the final answer?
X equals 4.
So almost, you're on the right track. Can anyone give me the factored? So once I factor x squared minus 16, what would the final answer be? Again, if you know the answer, type in me in the chat and I'll call on you. How can I factor x squared minus 16? How can I factor x squared minus 16? We went over it last week. No one? Okay, so Karen's on the right track. We do have to take the square root. So this is called difference of squares because you have 2 terms, x squared and 16. You have a minus sign in between, and they're both perfect squares. So you have to take the square root of x squared, which is x, the square root of 16, which is 4. And then, Karen, this is where you have to go a step further. Remember, you have to have one factor where they're added together and one factor where they're subtracted. So it's x plus 4, x minus 4. Questions on that? All right, second, we've got x cubed plus 125. So this one's a little bit different. We haven't talked about one like this before. This is different because you have an x cubed. So that's a clue. Not always, but usually if you have 2 terms and the first term is x cubed, you're going to be using the sum or difference of cubes, the sum or difference of cubes. And in order to use that pattern, you're going to do the same thing, except this time you're going to find the cubed root of x cubed. Cubed root and cube cancel out, so that's just left with x. And the cubed root of 125. So this only works if this is a perfect cube, meaning that if you take the cubed root, you get a whole number. 2 ways to figure that out. A perfect cube would be something like 1 because it's 1 times 1 times 1. That's a perfect cube. Or 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. So 8 is a perfect cube. So you're going to ask yourself, okay, what number can I multiply by itself 3 times to get 125? I'll take a volunteer for that. What's the cubed root of 125? Go and unmute yourself and just shout it out.
Maybe 5.
5. 5 is perfect. Yep, because 5 times 5 times 5 gives you 125. Good job, Liana. If you have a graphing calculator, you can also find the cubed root. I'll do this twice for you. Hit math. Hit option number 4 and then type in 125 or whatever number you're trying to get the cubed root of. And that'll give you 5. So again, hit math, hit option 4, hit 125, and that gives you 5. All right, so we're halfway there. The other thing you want to remember when you have cubes is this acronym SOAP. So what does SOAP stand for? Same sign, opposite sign, always a plus sign. Same sign, opposite sign, always a plus sign. Remember when we factor, we want to break it down into smaller parts. So I want you to draw one set of parentheses that are kind of close together and then one set of parentheses that are a little bit further apart. So what does SOAP mean? S stands for same, so you're going to write the same sign that's in between. So a plus sign goes in between. Opposite sign, so the opposite of a plus is a minus. And then always a plus sign. So that last one always has to be a plus sign. Same sign, opposite sign, always a plus sign. Same sign, opposite sign, always a plus sign. And now we're just going to fill in the blank. So in the first set of parentheses, we just fill it in with these two terms. So x and 5. The next part is a little bit trickier. So this first term, you have to square it. So x squared goes first. To get the middle term, you multiply these two together. So 5 times x, which is 5x. And the last term, you square this last number. So 5 squared is 25. And that's the most you can do. That is factored all the way. Questions on how to do sum and difference of cubes, how to use SOAP. So that only works if you have cubes. Any questions? All right, so why is that important? Because today we're going to be simplifying rational expressions, and rational expressions are expressions where you have x in the denominator. When you simplify rational expressions, your first step is to factor, so that's why we have to know how to factor, and then your second step is to reduce. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 is already factored for you because you already have the parentheses. So the next step would be to reduce. You can reduce if you have the same factor in the numerator and the denominator. You can reduce if you have the same factor in the numerator and the denominator. So you have to have the exact same parentheses. So in this case, you can cancel out x plus 1 and x plus 1 because you have the same thing in the numerator and the denominator. So that means you're left with 2 in the numerator and then just x plus 3 in the denominator. We don't have to write parentheses around the x plus 3 because it's the only thing left now in the denominator. Questions on number 1? All right, let's look at number 2, x squared minus 2x minus 3 over x squared minus x minus 6. This time we don't have the parentheses, so our first step is we have to factor. Let's cover up the denominator and just focus on x squared minus 2x minus 3. Here's my first question that I'm going to ask someone to answer for me. What method should I use to factor x squared minus 2x minus 3? What method should I use to factor x squared minus 2x minus 3? Your options are GCF, difference of squares, cubes, or magic x. So which one of those should I use?
I'm already drinking water.
Difference of squares.
So I think we have passed this week.
I'm
So
going to call on someone for this. So
hit.
hang tight.
Huh?
I said I'm going to call on someone for this one, so hang tight. All right, which method should I use? Nancy.
You said to back up what?
To factor this numerator, to factor x squared minus 2x minus 3, what method should I use? We got GCF, we got magic x, we got difference of squares, and we have cubes, which we used here.
The greatest common factor? No, actually, no. It's just squares. We're talking about the x, the what's it called? The x2 minus 3.
We're talking about the numerator, the x squared minus 2x minus 3.
Oh, no, I say magic. What they call magic x.
I agree with you. So you always use magic x if you have 1, 2, 3 terms. So Branson, you can't use difference of squares because that only works if you have 2 terms. they're subtracted, and you have perfect squares. So unfortunately, this says 1, 2, 3, so we can't use magic or difference of squares. All right, what goes on the top and what goes on the bottom of my x? What do you think, Hannah? How do I fill in my x? What goes on the top? What goes on the bottom? Hannah?
Yes, hold on. Yes.
How do I fill in
Yes,
the
yes, yes. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, Hannah, make sure you unmute for a sec. We'll work through it. Remember the last term, -3, that goes at the top. The -2 goes at the bottom. So -3 goes at the top, -2 goes at the bottom. Because this is a negative and this is a negative, you're going to have a positive and a negative as your factors, a positive and a negative as your factors. Let's list out the factors of 3, and I'm putting a minus sign there because this is a -3, so I have to subtract the factors to get 2. What are the factors of 3? In other words, what numbers can I multiply together to get 3? Hannah, can you help me out with that?
1 and 3.
Yep, those are the only things that you do. 1 and 3. Just
And
got to subtract to make sure it equals 2, so 3 minus 1 is 2. And then, you're good, Hannah, you can mute yourself now. You have to figure out which one's positive and which one's negative. So the bigger factor, the 3, has to match the sign of the bottom number. So 3 has to be negative and 1 has to be positive. So that's how you use the magic x. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator. Instead of x squared minus 2x minus 3, we're going to rewrite it as x plus 1 and x minus 3. Questions on that? All right, let's look at the bottom. Let's look at x squared minus x minus 6. First question, what method should I use to factor x squared minus x minus 6? What method should I use? Layla.
I don't know.
So the options again are GCF, difference of squares, magic x, or cubes. What do you think we should do for the denominator?
Cube?
How many? You can only use cube if you have an exponent of 3. Do we have an exponent of 3?
No.
No. How many terms do I have?
2?
We'll count them out. How many terms do I have? 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
So what method do we use if we have 3 terms? What did we use in the numerator?
That big X, I forgot what it's called.
The magic x. So we got to use the magic x. So anytime you have 3 terms, you got to use the magic x. All right, how do I fill in my magic x? What goes at the top? What goes at the bottom? What do you think, Hannah?
I would say the 1 and the 3.
So now remember, we're focused on this bottom one right here. So what number goes at the top? What number goes at the bottom?
The bottom 1 and 6.
Which one goes at the top?
I would say 1 goes at the top, -1.
The last number goes at the top. The middle number goes at the bottom.
Okay, bet.
All right, so now we got to list out the factors of 6. Because this is negative and this is negative, I have to have a positive and a negative factor. And because my 6 is negative, I'm going to subtract the factors to get 1. So what are the factors of 6? What numbers can I multiply together to get 6? What do you think, Sandra?
1 and 6.
1 and 6, and what else?
2 and
6 and 1.
Here's 1 and 6. Is there another one that we could use?
What?
So 1 times 6 gives us 6. Are there any other numbers that will multiply to give us 6?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Good job. So remember, we have to subtract. So which pair should I use? Should I use 1 and 6 or should I use 2 and 3? What do you think? Q.
Uh, 2 and 3.
And then Q, a follow-up question. Which one's going to be positive and which one's going to be negative?
2 is going to be positive and 3 is going to be negative
How did you know that?
because you got to get -1.
Yeah, so the larger factor has to match the sign of the bottom number. So 3 has to be negative. So let's rewrite that, x plus 2 and x minus 3. All right, so we factored. What can we reduce now? What can we cancel out? What do you think, Branson?
The x minus 3.
We can cancel out the x minus 3s. So you're left with x plus 1 over x plus 2. That's your final answer. Good job. Any questions about number 2? Any questions about number 2? All right, let's go to number 3. We've got x squared minus 4x minus 12 over x squared minus 4. So cover up the denominator. Let's just focus on the numerator. First question, what method should I use to factor x squared minus 4x minus 12? What method should I use to factor x squared minus 4x minus 12? What do you think, Venus?
You're supposed to use the magic X.
And why do I use the magic X?
Huh?
Why do I use the magic X?
Because you got 3 numbers, well, 3 things.
Exactly. Good job. All right, Dion, how am I going to fill in the top and the bottom of my magic X? What number goes at the top? What number goes at the bottom?
12 at the top.
What goes at the bottom?
4.
Yeah, make sure you include the signs with it. So it will be -12 and -4.
Oh, -4.
And then because these are both negative, you know you're going to have a positive and a negative factor. So let's list out the factors of 12. We're going to subtract them because it's a -12. We're going to subtract to get 4. What are going to be the factors of 12? What are the factors of 12? What do you think, Ethan?
2 and 6.
2 and 6 is 1. What else can we multiply to get us 12?
4 and 3.
4 and 3. Anything else?
1 and 12.
1 and 12. All right, which one of these factors should I choose to fill in my sides? Which of these factors should I choose to fill in my sides? What do you think, Liana?
The 3 and the 4.
So remember, you want them to subtract to give you 4. So which one of these, when you subtract, will give you 4?
Oh, the 2 and the 6.
Yeah, and then which one's going to be positive, which one's going to be negative?
The 2 is going to be positive.
How did you know that?
Because, I don't know, I just knew.
Okay, you're right.
And write it.
What did you say, sorry?
Nothing.
Okay, the reason why is because the bigger factor has to match the sign of the bottom number. So 6 has to. All right, so let's go ahead and rewrite that. So we've got x plus 2 and x minus 6 on the numerator. All right, let's go ahead and do the denominator. We've got x squared minus 4. What method should I use to factor out x squared minus 4? What method should I use to factor x squared minus 4? What do you think, Karen?
You're gonna do the difference of squares, whatever.
And what would that give us when we use difference of squares?
X plus 2, x minus 2.
Good job. X plus 2, x minus 2. You notice that they're both perfect squares, so you have to take the square roots and do 1 plus and 1 minus. All right, what can we reduce from this? What can we reduce? Nancy.
What happened? What?
What can I reduce? Now that I've got it factored, what can I reduce? What?
6.
In other words, what cancels out?
Oh, x plus 2.
You have to have the same thing in the numerator and denominator for it to cancel out. So that means you're left with x minus 6 in the numerator and x minus 2 in the denominator. So that is your final answer. Any questions on number 3? All right, let's go to number 4. 4x over x squared plus 2x. So focus on the numerator first. You just have a 4x. Anytime you only have one term, you cannot factor it. So we can't do anything with the 4x. We leave it as is. Now let's look at the denominator, x squared plus 2x. What method should I use to factor x squared plus 2x? What method should I use to factor x squared plus 2x? What do you think, Q?
The GCF.
Yeah, so what is the GCF in this case?
X.
X, because both of these terms have an x in it, so you can factor out an x. X squared, factor out an x means you only have one x left. And then 2x, if you factor out an x, you are left with a 2. All right, so here it's a little bit tricky to reduce, but you can't reduce the x plus 2, you can't reduce the 4, but you can reduce the x's because they're not in parentheses. So be careful with this type of problem. You can't cancel x's if they're trapped in parentheses, but if you have a free x on the top and a free x on the bottom, that's when you can cancel it out. So you're left with a 4 in the numerator and an x plus 2 in the denominator. Any questions about number 4? All right, let's go to number 5. We've got x squared minus 11x plus 18 over x cubed minus 8. What method should I use to factor the numerator? So cover up the denominator. What method should I use to factor x squared minus 11x plus 18? What do you think, Sandra?
The magic X.
Magic X, and why did you choose magic X, Sandra?
Because you have three numbers on top.
Good job. What goes on the top and what goes on the bottom of my X? What goes on the top, what goes on the bottom of my X? What do you think, Layla?
18 go at the top.
Good.
11 go at the bottom.
Yep, make sure that you include that negative with that 11, but yes, you are correct. All right, because 18 is positive and 11 is negative, both of my factors are going to be negative. And then we're going to list out the factors of 18, but this time I'm going to add them to the 11 because 18 is positive. What are the factors of 18? What numbers can I multiply together to give us 18? What do you think, Liana? What numbers can I multiply to give us 18, Liana? We lost to Liana. Okay, I'll come back to her. What numbers can I multiply?
Wait, it's like messing up. It's not letting me talk. It's like in and out.
Okay, I can hear you now. So go for it. I can't hear you right now. Try unmuting yourself because you're muted right now, and then try talking. Are you talking right now? Okay. We'll come back to you, Liana. Hannah, what numbers can I multiply together to give me 18?
You can multiply 9 and 8. Well, 9 and 2. Well, I almost say 8. You can multiply 3 and 6.
Anything else?
Multiply 1 and 18. And that's all I can think of.
That's all there are, so that was good. Good job. All right, which one of those should I choose to fill in my magic X? Which one of those should I choose to fill in my magic X? What do you think, Ethan?
9 and 2.
9 and 2, good, because they have to add to give you 11. It doesn't matter where you put them because they're both negative. So X minus 2, X minus 9. All right, last one. We got to factor out the denominator, x cubed minus 8. What method should I use to factor x cubed minus 8? What method should I use to factor x cubed minus 8? What do you have for me, Venus?
You use the cube method, whatever.
Yep, so you got to use the cube. So same sign, opposite sign, always a plus sign. So the first step, you got to take the cubed root of x cubed. What's the cubed root of x cubed, Dion?
What did you say?
What's the cubed root of x cubed?
It's going in and out. I can't hear. Oh, X.
Good job.
1.
Then you got to take the cubed root of 8. It doesn't matter that it's a minus sign. You're just going to do the positive 8. What's the cubed root of 8? Karen?
2.
Good job. And then we're going to do our parentheses, draw a shorter set and a longer set, and then we're going to fill it in with the signs using SOAP. So same sign, opposite sign, always a plus sign. Same sign as the original, so minus, opposite sign, which is a plus, and then always a plus sign. So same sign, opposite sign, always a plus sign. The first one you're going to fill in with x and 2, so x minus 2 goes first. And then here you're going to do the first term squared, so x squared plus, multiply those together, so 2 times x is 2x plus 4. We got x minus 2, x squared plus 2x plus 4 in the denominator. Can I cancel anything out? If so, what can I cancel out? So what can get canceled out? Let's go with Branson.
The X minus 2. Branson.
Yep, so those will cancel out. So you're just left with x minus 9 over x squared plus 2x plus 4. And that is it. So it's a factoring party today. Factoring party. All right, that is the last problem. So I'll give you all a few moments to finish copying it down if you haven't already, and then we'll go over our homework for tonight. Does anyone still need time to copy down number 5? Okay. Here's your homework before you leave. We have the 7.2 assignment that's due tonight. And then the 7.3 part 1, that'll be due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. So 2 things to keep track of today. If you are good to go, feel free to log off. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll stick around till the end of the period to answer any questions that you may have. See ya.
I have a question.
Yes.
I never got my login for Big Math or whatever it's called, however you say it.
You were with me last semester, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me get that login for you. And then you're gonna have to add the new class though. So can you go to Canvas?
Yeah. All right.
Are you on my homepage?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see where it says class resources?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and click that. And then do you see how there's a PDF that says Big Ideas Math?
Yeah.
Go ahead and click that. And then it says, I just sent you the username and password. Did you get it? In the chat?
Let me go to it. Yeah, I see it. I see it.
So on the left where it says, I remember my Big Ideas Math, you're gonna follow those instructions. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick. You're gonna go to this this website. So go and click that. And then log in using your username and password that I just sent you, and let me know if that works.
Let's see. Oh, did I type it in wrong? It's not working for some reason.
Can you share your screen with me?
Oh, I typed it in wrong. Okay. Alrighty, I'm logged in.
Okay, then click your name on the top right corner.
Mm-hmm.
Click add class.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna add period 10's code. So do you see this code at the bottom that starts with a G?
Yeah.
So go ahead and type that in.
Do I have to put the dashes with it or no?
I believe you do.
Okay. Alrighty.
Now, so it's not going to show up the assignment, so hang tight, right? Let me just add you to that because you just got added to the class. So let me see if I can give you all the assignments right now before I forget. Okay. Now, if you click the assignments tab, do you see an assignment showing up?
Yeah.
Okay, you're good to go. So those are the ones that you've missed so far. So do those first, and then I'll reassign the new ones to you. So you should see all 5 by tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
See ya.